You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This one's wife. Is it time for Invictus to act? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The recent scandal with African Parks has not been a good look for Harry, and by extension this one's wife, given her supposed humanitarian stance. Similarly, the fallout with regard to Sentebale has also stained the reputation of Prince Harry, and also, by extension, this one's wife, given the fact that there were attempts made by her to cause Harry to place pressure upon Dr. Sophie Chandauka for the purposes of trying to protect the image of this one's wife. It's certainly been the case that since Harry, as patron, left Sentebale, along with the trustees that resigned, and the fact that the Charity Commission has not sought the removal of Dr. Sophie Chandauka, that Harry has thrown his rattle out of the pram, with the consequence that it doesn't look like he'll be able to find a way back into that charity. And instead of behaving in a graceful manner, for instance, stating, I accept the findings of the Charity Commission, and I wish Dr. Chandauka and the new board members all the best in continuing the charity, and I'll provide any assistance should they ask it of me. No. He demonstrates his petulant behaviour, as I explained yesterday, by yelling, "Nobody shall wield Mummy's name but me," and continues to ensure that he is portrayed as a victim in relation to a hostile takeover of what he regarded as his charity. Interestingly, for years, he ticked along rather successfully in relation to charitable work. This, as I explained, was as a consequence of his natural predisposition to want to undertake this work, but also that he was significantly helped by the palace, which enabled him to discharge his obligations without any concerns or scandals. Once he departed the protective nature of the palace, we have seen, as he has become subjected to the machinations of his wife, that he'd lost interest in doing much of the charitable work. For instance, he hadn't made a visit for 5 years in respect of particular works for the charities. And what is the result? The result is that, removed from the good advices and protective behaviours of the relevant men in grey suits, and subjected to the self-absorbed nature of this one's wife, dragging him into the awful shared fantasy, African Parks has turned into a shit show, Sentebale became a clusterfuck, and with Invictus Games we have also seen that the problems have arisen. Not only has it been the case that this one's wife sought $100,000 worth of clothing to be paid for from Invictus, along with undoubtedly travel and accommodation costs, she has sought to take over all of those games at which she has appeared. It happened in respect of trying to make this one's wife games at The Hague, at Dusseldorf, and also in Whistler and Vancouver. We saw the disgusting behaviour where she marched at the head of the veterans, having had no military service herself. That rictus grin plastered across her face as she relished the fact that she was at the front and all of the fuel that she was gaining as a consequence of those actions. Given the fact that Harry basically has gone off the rails with regard to his charitable work, as demonstrated by what has happened with African Parks, Sentebale, and now Invictus Games, might it be the case that it is time for Invictus to act in relation to the continued association with him? Well, one military veteran certainly seems to think so. A gentleman called Edward Fortescue, who's a former major in the Military Intelligence Battalion, which is part of the overall intelligence corps, put a uncompromising post on X. He wrote, "The wounded veterans of Invictus are done, utterly and irrevocably done, with Harry and that fame-hungry parasite he married. They've seen war, They faced death. They've dragged their broken bodies through fire and blood. And now they are expected to play supporting roles in the grotesque theatre of two narcissists desperate for applause. This one's wife is not a humanitarian. She is a scavenger, circling the sacred with cameras in tow, draped in designer grief and counterfeit empathy. She turns every solemn tribute into a photo opportunity, every scar into a set piece. The woman would not know sacrifice if it bled out in front of her. And as for Harry, he had once earned our respect, but he sold it for a docuseries and a podcast that even Spotify couldn't stomach. He abandoned his regiment, his family, his queen, then came crawling back to the very veterans he left behind, hoping their heroism might cover the stench of his cowardice. But the veterans see through him now. He's no brother in arms. He's a cautionary tale. The games were built by warriors, forged in agony, sanctified by those who've suffered beyond imagining. They are not a red carpet for grifters, nor a stage for this one's wife's endless performance of self-infatuation. Invictus must cast them out. Not politely, not discreetly, ruthlessly. Because every second they remain near this sacred institution is a second too long. Our wounded deserve dignity, not drama, service, not spectacle, honour, not Harry. Enough. Now, at the point of coming across that has been seen some 26,000 times. I don't know if Mr. Fortescue has any involvement with Invictus, but he's evidently a veteran and is entitled to issue his opinion. And it may well be the case that he has been able to harness the feelings and thoughts of many other veterans towards Harry. Many people in the comments support what Major Fortescue has to state, although he's challenged by one individual who wrote, "So you are the official spokesperson for all the wounded veterans, are you?" He responded by explaining, "No, I'm not the official spokesman for all wounded veterans, nor need I be. I lost my right arm and my right eye serving alongside men whose names are now etched in stone. I do not speak out of vanity, but from sacrifice. And that affords me a voice which requires no validation from you. The contempt felt towards Harry and his wife within the veteran community is neither isolated nor imagined. It is real, deeply held, and well earned. I merely expressed aloud what countless others utter in confidence. So I suggest you rein in the flippancy. You speak from comfort without cost. I speak having paid dearly for the privilege. And I shall not be lectured on honour by someone who's never had to defend it." Didier continues to argue, the person that made that allegation of Major Fortescue being the official spokesman, continues to argue with people in the comments, clearly a dipstick. But the point is that it is doubtless the case that Major Fortescue, as a veteran, has spoken to other veterans. He clearly is an individual who has suffered physical loss alongside other matters in relation to the service to his country, and will be able to articulate the thoughts and feelings of other veterans towards Harry. And this once again is demonstrative of the dim-wittedness of Harry and the fact that he has been led astray by this one's wife. There's no doubting that Harry has some very unpleasant characteristics. However, he did care. But that was until such time as the wife came along and became a vehicle for him to respond in respect of all of the petty grievances and resentments that have built up over the years. Before she appeared, these problems weren't prevalent. Take away the guardrails, throw her into the mix, and look what you've got. And now a major lambasting him, legitimately and supported by evidence on X, with many people agreeing with that sentiment. And therefore it raises the clear proposition that in light of the debacles that have surrounded two charities so far, and the last 3 occasions whereby it's become increasingly prevalent that this one's wife has hijacked Invictus for her own needs and has pressured Harry into kowtowing to that, is it now time for Invictus to act and sever its ties with Harry? What do you think, valuable viewers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.